Had to do the intro there. Spent a lot of time on that intro. Wanted to share it with you. Alright, so today's video is going to be on the Shroud of Turin. So the Shroud of Turin is supposedly the burial cloth of Jesus, what he was buried in the tomb with. Now, I'm not here to say that this is what it is. I do think it is. If I had to make an estimate, I would say I'm probably 70% sure it's his. But I can't prove that. But I think once you use deductive reasoning in the arguments, I would say it's more probable that it is his. It's absolutely possible, but I would lean towards more probable that this is the burial cloth of Jesus. For sake of keeping the video short, and I want you to research this on your own, there's also art that dates back for 1,500 years of people who's painted the likeness of this shroud into paintings, them also believing that it's Jesus. So it's, given authenticity of its age, and that brings up a whole new type of argument. But that's speculation, and I try not to speculate too much, even though it sounds speculation. So I try to just stick with facts. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to show you the facts here, okay? So the facts of the Shroud of Turin. Now, real quick, here's the Shroud of Turin right here. Here's some of that's a video that we're going to watch here in a second. I can pull that up. So here's the Shroud of Turin. Okay, here's some pictures of it. Right here, as you can clearly see, it is definitely in the likeness of what we would believe our risen Messiah to possibly look like. Right here, there's the full body. Okay, so what is the Shroud of Turin? Let's go over the facts real quick. So more research and man hours have been put and spent on this archaeological artifact than any other item on Earth or the history of Earth. And it's a whole variety of different people, from seculars to agnostic Christians. Thousands of hours and photos and examinations have been spent on this. Okay, the figure underneath the shroud is a male, and he's 5'10" at about 180 pounds, and he's in good physical shape. Okay, so that's some things that we can conclude. All right, so if this is our Lord, then was decently buff, and carpenters were pretty physical. All right, and let's continue on here, because I could go on a rant about that. All right. So there was some damage to it in the 16th century. All right, it was placed in a fire. There was some fire done to it, but we can discuss that in a minute, why that's relevant. It's still rather intact very well. Evidence that this is from the 20s and 30s AD, so the time of Christ. Okay, the figure underneath the shroud, that figure underneath the eyes, which are stained on the shroud, have inscribed with Greek letters from coins, which these coins are from the 20s and 30s AD of Tiberius Caesar under the lepton of Pontius Pilate, and those coins have still been found today. So what I'm trying to say is that somebody placed coins over the eyes of the body that's underneath the shroud, and those coins are from that time. And the face was so severely beaten, so stained with blood, that it left such an imprint on the shroud that you can literally see some of the letters on the coins, and it spells out Tiberius Caesar, which was under Pontius Pilate. Okay? And again, those same coins have been found. So that tells you how bad that this person was beaten. All right? All right, so some more evidence. The man in the figure of the shroud has blood and dirt on his feet, which were left on the shroud, and that dirt is a type of limestone, and it's almost exclusively in the area of Palestine. And his body was in a state of rigor mortis. All right? Forensic studying has concluded the man in the figure has both eyes swollen shut with massive amounts of blood loss, highlighting one of the strikes or blows mashed up the lip up to the nose. The teeth can also be seen stained from the blood, so 23 teeth are visible. So what it's saying is that there's so much blood around the mouth area and the lips were so mashed in that you can literally see the teeth outline with the blood going around the gums that left on the shroud. 23 teeth in all. Over 220 or right around 220 whipping marks with blood flow from each wrist. So there's 220 whipping marks, and we got blood flow from each wrist, and it has also been determined 2 different men beat this man, with one being significantly taller than the other and left-handed. So this is how deep and detailed the forensic study has got. All right, so they can tell that 2 different men minimum hit this person, this man. We'll call him JC. All right, no pun intended. They hit JC. 2 different men. One of them being left-handed, one of them being tall, and one of them being short. All right, and there is and 4 wounds going through each wrist and 1 nail going through both feet. So, in the wrist area. So, and by the way, so the Greek word for wrist is there isn't one. It literally just means the arm. Okay, so it's not like how it has how we have wrist and hand. So it clearly could have went through the wrist. What we would call a wrist. All right. There is a stain which contains water and blood near the pericardial sac heart area, which also correlates with what the scripture says, that a spear was thrusted through his heart. Okay, and in every inch of the body there was whipping marks besides the face and the calf area, or excuse me, the calves were hit, the forearm area. All right, whatever caused the stain was not simply putting a body on a sheet. It was put there through some type of radiation. It was described as like an iron. All right, and the body or the object was suspended in space. To better explain this, we're going to turn to Dr. Gary Habermas. Now, he's a brother in Christ, but he is an expert. Okay, and we're going to start this on the around the 1752 mark. I want you to listen to our brother Gary Habermas explain this. All right, I could write it out for you, but what better than to have him explain it? So we'll go to the 22-minute mark, 22:08. All right, so here we go.
Clearly in a later photo how much carnage has been done on this person by the whipping. This is a photo micrograph. If my co-author in the Shroud book, Ken Stevenson, the former Air Force Academy professor, if he were here, he would tell you that the photo micrographs are his favorite photos. This is a close-up of the weave on the cloth. It's a 3-to-1 linen weave. And to answer that earlier question, is there a stain on the back? The blood stains go all the way through, but these silvery image threads do not go through. In fact, they don't even go through a single thread. This is a thread made up of perhaps 200 individual fibrils. The shroud image is only 1 or 2 fibrils deep. It does not go into the cloth, which is incredible, because in physical terms, there's no paint, dye, powder, or any foreign substance on the cloth. That can't account for the image. It's a superficial image. You say, well, didn't you tell us there was an image on the other side of the cloth? There is, and it's also superficial. There's an image on both sides of the cloth, but nothing in between. And it's very, very difficult to explain in terms of modern science. In fact, there's only one more thing that's more difficult to explain than superficiality, and that's this. At the Air Force Academy in the mid-70s, they took photographs of the shroud, and they placed them in a computer known as a VP8 image analyzer. There's only one working one in the world today, as far as I know. The man who owns it is a former scientist who was on this team. And when you put photos from Earth, this was made for photos from space, Voyager space shots and so on. But if you put photos from Earth into this VP8 image analyzer, everything becomes distorted. The nose sinks into the face, the eyes bug out. It does not look like a normal human face. But when they put the photo of the shroud in there, this is what they saw looking at them. And the face was symmetrical and unlike anything else. Now let me tell you what this means. The man buried in the shroud has his hands crossed in front of him, and his head is bent forward like this. He's in a state of rigor mortis, and his body is starting to return to the pre-death state. His left leg is popped up like this, so the knee is up in the air. And the cloth, you can imagine, would drape over the high points of the body. That's why it looks like the eyes are large. the cloth would drape over the forehead and the chin, but it wouldn't be on the ears. It would be on the chest, but not on the throat. The hands are crossed like this, so the cloth is going to drape primarily over the left hand. The left leg is raised, so the cloth is going to be over the left leg and not as clearly over the right knee. And yet, when you see the image, they are all equally clear. It doesn't make any difference if the cloth is sitting right on it or if the cloth is over top of it. Whatever's created the image on the cloth traveled across space to make that image on the cloth. And so the 3D image, I've got a couple other pictures. The 3D image is a side view of it. The 3D image gives you a cloth to body distance. It tells you how far the cloth was from the body, but it also tells you that whatever made the image leaped through space. The last one here is turned sideways, so you're going to have to imagine what that looks like, but so I'll return to this one. And whatever created the shroud image, this is the most difficult thing to, quote, fake from the shroud. Now, I told you the cloth was wrapped this way around a body, so when you open the cloth, what would you folks expect? This man is about 5'10", 180 pounds. He's in good physical shape, as you'll see in a couple later photos. But he's got 180 pounds lying on this cloth. Do you think the back image would be darker, or do you think the top image would be darker, which simply is laid on top of his body? The back image would be darker, right? No. But neither is the top. Both images are equal. The image on the shroud is independent of body weight. It's independent of what touched the body. Whatever it is went through the cloth and left an image. All right, if you're familiar, how many of you have seen The Passion?
So as you can see, so the best way I can describe it, when you watch the entire video, and I've watched other videos, like picture a balloon, okay, and there's a figure inside the balloon, but the figure is touching the top of the balloon and the bottom of the balloon. And as Gary Habermas said, as Dr. Habermas said, you would think that the bottom part would have more imprint because when the weight of the body is down on the bottom of the shroud. But no, it touched the top and the bottom equally, and then it went through the shroud. Okay, so as you look more into this, you're going to realize that they just didn't simply lift up the shroud and pull the body out. There's zero evidence of that. And there's absolute ways to determine there would be evidence of that. You can't fake that, guys. All right? So there have been two carbon dating dates, by the way. One was done in 1988, and it matched the 16th century or medieval time. And it was later determined that they took a piece of the shroud off from where the nuns sewed it on, from the fire, which I mentioned earlier. But then there was another one done a few years before that in 1982. I guess they didn't like this conclusion. And it dated to 30 AD plus or minus to 70 AD. Okay, and that was taken from the actual image of the shroud. So, what evidence do we have that this is old? Not only do we have coins from that time that were stained on the above where the eye area, that's also a practice from that time. But we also have the limestone in the dirt, and we have paintings that date 1,500 years of people, a likeness of the shroud, and of course the carbon-14 dating, the independent one. So listen, I suggest that you watch the entirety of that video. It's very easy. Dr. Habermas, he's fantastic. He's written many books. His expertise is the resurrection. Do your own research. Like I said, I cannot prove to you that it's Jesus. Okay? Nobody can. There are some videos out there that's some wild stuff, like has the DNA been tested? I don't know any evidence. I've watched them, the evidence where the DNA was tested, and it's only 23 or 24 chromosomes, which means they only carried the mother's chromosomes and all this other stuff. I don't know if any of that's true, so I'm not stating it here. I'm telling you to always, us as Christians, we're not supposed to believe everything that we see. We're supposed to investigate and use reason. Okay? Pistis is, the Greek word for faith is, to know with reason. Okay? So that's how you're supposed to approach everything. And that's what the name of this channel is, John 20:28, from Doubting Thomas, where Thomas had to see the resurrected Jesus for him to believe it. Okay? So there is a healthy thing of skepticism in your life. But you also got to be honest and truthful with yourself. So what is the probability? Is it more possible or probable that somebody would take a shroud from around the 30 to 70 AD area, and we can believe that date and time because of the coins that were stained on the body, to the limestone, to a carbon-14 dating, and someone believed that was a burial cloth of Jesus, and for them to protect it and keep it through the 2,000 plus years, and to cherish it, and that the stains that were left on it were done with a phenomenon that people can't explain, and that he was hit over 220 times, and the piercing of the heart, and it was Palestine. Come on. I don't listen. Again, I'm not saying it's Jesus. I'm saying that I don't know a more probable explanation than that. All right, so I just thought this was very interesting, and thank you for listening. God bless you in Jesus' name.